Hi, I'm Kim from KimberlyKoehler.com. Today I have a new necklace tutorial for you. This builds on kind of the last few weeks' tutorials. So 2 weeks ago I showed you how to make this wire wrap loop chain. Last week we did the wire wrapped bead link with the chain necklace. And this week we have this nice long pendant. So the long chain is just a wire wrap loop chain, and it's just really long, and then we have this cute pendant on the end, and that's what I'm going to be showing you mainly. If you want to know how to make the chain, you can go back to the chain tutorial, which I will link below the video. And like I've been saying, this makes a nice layered look for all three necklaces you can wear together, or you can mix and match. You can just wear two of them or just one by itself. So let's get started. These are the materials and tools you'll need for this project. So you'll need a focal bead. So you might want to choose a special bead for this necklace. This bead is the centerpiece. It's the pendant of the necklace. So you might want to choose a bead that's a little bit larger, that sort of thing. You're going to need chain, and as we've been working this month with wire wrapped loop chain that I showed you how to make a couple weeks ago, I'll link to the video below. This is a very long necklace, so this is the third layer of our necklace. We started with a shorter chain, just plain chain, and then a wire wrapped bead link necklace with some chain, and this is the final piece, so it's going to be longer. Mine is 38 inches long. You can decide how long you'd like to make your chain. Each link is about an inch, so then you'll know how many links you need to make. And then I already have a clasp on mine as well, so you can just kind of finish the chain and have it ready to go. So you'll also need wire. I'm using 20 gauge half hard round wire. Actually, I'm using pear wire. It doesn't have a hardness, but if it did have a hardness, it's similar to half hard. And then the tools you'll need are wire cutters, round nose pliers, chain nose pliers, and you might want to have a pair of bent nose pliers just for a little bit of helpfulness. You may or may not need them. So since this bead is the focal point of our pendant, I'm going to do a little bit extra wire wrapping. You could just make a bead dangle and it would be perfect as well. I'm going to do a little bit extra wire around this. So I've cut a piece of wire about 8 inches long, and if your bead, depending on the size of your bead, you may need more. This bead is about 1.5 inches long, and only about 1/2 inch thick, wide. So you can use that as comparison to your own bead. First we want to make sure we have a flush cut on the end of our wire. So that means you just use the back of your wire cutters toward what you're leaving behind. The back is kind of a nice flat part. It makes a flush cut, which is just a straight cut. The other way makes a pinch cut, which leaves like a pointy end. We call that a burr, and we don't want the pointy end, we just want a nice flat cut, so that's why we do that. And then we'll use our chain nose pliers just to make a little hook. So just kind of hold it, and then we're just bending, and you see this hook, and then you can just use your chain nose pliers to close this, but I actually have a little trick. I use my crimp tool. So if you do beading and you close crimp beads, you probably have this tool around, and it's easier to close because it has these little notches. And you can do the same thing with your chain nose pliers, but it's a little bit harder because they're slippery. So you have this little end now, and that will hold your bead on. So now we're going to just slide our bead onto the wire and pull it down, and see that holds our bead on the wire. So now I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and we're going to make a loop at the top. So I'm just holding the wire about 1/4 of an inch above the bead, and I'm wrapping around, and there is quite a bit of wire here, and to form a loop. Now I'm going to hold the loop in my chain nose pliers and wrap around once, and I'm straightening out the bead so that the loop is on top of the stone, so it's kind of centered in the middle. And we're just going to wrap around 2 more times. Just keep your wraps nice and tight and just lined up nicely. Okay, so then I'm going to bring the wire around. So my bead is kind of flat, so I'm going to bring the wire around the sides. If you have like a round bead or something like that, you don't necessarily have to do it this way. You could just bring the wire kind of across and make it a little bit fancier that way. But I'm just going to kind of run this right along the side here, and I'm pushing the wire into my bead. So then we get down to the bottom, and we're going to wrap around 1 full time and end up on the other side, and then we're just going to go back up to the top. Again, I'm pushing the wire into the bead so it kind of frames it, and then I'm going to just wrap this around a few times. You could hold this in your chain nose pliers. It might be easier for you to hold the loop again in your chain nose pliers and wrap, or to use your bent nose pliers to wrap. Just go around a few times, make sure it's secure, and then we're going to make a flush cut. And then I'm using my chain nose pliers just to make sure that ends in. This is a tip I gave in the video at the beginning of the month. I will link below for how to kind of professionally finish off your wire wraps. So now we have this nice little pendant to hang on the bottom of our chain, and we have a little extra of the wire on the sides. So now I'm grabbing my chain, and I'm actually just going to find the very middle, and I just kind of do it by holding the top together, and here's the middle. So you could just attach this with a jump ring, and that would be very nice, but I'm actually going to add one of these links to attach it to the necklace. Just like we made the chain with the link, I'm just going to make the same link to just kind of give it a little more separation. So I'm just going to move this chain over here. So I showed you how to make this wire wrap loop chain, and this is just kind of the same exact thing here. So I cut 3 inches of wire, and then I'm measuring 1 inch down from the top, and I still have a mark on my round nose pliers from when I made the chain, so I'm just using that mark from before, and you can I'll put the link to the chain video in the description below the video. And you make your first loop. So since we're attaching this pendant with this, I just want to add the pendant in the loop, and then we're going to finish making this wire wrap loop with this pendant just off to the side here. So hold the loop in your chain nose pliers. We're going to go around once, straighten out the wire so the loop is centered in the wire. And I'm a little bit clumsy because I have cut my thumb and my finger, so I have band-aids, so I'm sorry about that. And now I'm just switching hands, and then you do 2 more wraps. I'm going to use my bent nose pliers to help me with these wraps. So 1, 2. Now I'm just squeezing my wraps together, just make sure they're close together by pinching my chainless pliers together, making a flush cut to cut off the end piece, and then I'm just using my chainless pliers to make sure that end is not poking out. I'm going back to my ruler. I'm going to measure an inch from the other end now, and we're going to make a loop on the other end. And again, I'm just going to make sure that I'm lined up with that mark on my round nose pliers again. And we'll start out by making a loop. And now I'm going to add this loop. And in the middle, I found the middle of my chain here. So I'm just going to choose, the middle is actually right here, the end of these two links. So I'm just going to actually choose one and place it in this loop. And hold the loop in my chain nose pliers and complete the wire wrapped loop. And sorry about that, I keep going off the camera. And finish. And if you need more details on these wire wrapped links, like I said, I did a whole video on how to make the chain, and it's exactly the same process. And now I'm trimming off the excess, making a flush cut, and grabbing my chain nose pliers. Again, I'm just pushing the loops together. And now I'm just going to make sure that end is not poking out. And so I have a little bit of separation. The pendant hangs down a little bit more. That concludes the long necklace pendant tutorial, which is the third piece of our layered look. You can certainly wear this necklace on its own, but it looks great layered with other pieces as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this series. If you miss the other portions of this series, the links are below in the description. Just click read more and you'll be able to find them. I also have a link to the blog post for this video over on my website. I hope you'll also join me for Rediscover Your Creativity and Make Jewelry. I love this e-course. My students love it. It's 6 weeks full of creativity boosters, jewelry skills lessons, and jewelry projects. Each week you get each of those things, and we work through the 6 weeks. There's an introduction week as well, and the final week is fun and a way to put everything you've learned all together as kind of a reminder of your journey on the e-course. Learn more at the link below this video, and I will see you in a week or so. Have a great week.